G'day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at how you can beat the legendary Super Saiyan Broly and the other bosses in Ultimate Clash and what team builds I used for each of them. Now we obviously, as usual, if you don't know my video format by now, we go through the fights against Broly and then take a look at my various team builds for the other bosses while discussing their mechanics. Obviously everyone's box will be different, so keep that in mind. As always, the best way to take on these events for me is to use mono-based teams, which means teams that are of a singular typing. So that means, for example, Broly is AGL, take him on with a tech team. It's probably going to help you out the most. Now, in terms of our team, it's super important for a lot of these fights, but especially for Broly, that you bring sealing. Sealing Broly is going to prevent a huge amount of damage being done to you, but Broly will also raise his attack and defense permanently every time he supers. So even though you may evade in a super, or you may be able to survive or tank a super, for example with Super Saiyan God Goku, it's going to make life a lot harder for the rest of your units, especially since Broly will launch an AoE normal attack every single turn that will cause quite a bit of chip damage over time. So Broly is pretty tough, and to counteract him we've brought a fairly strong tech team. So overall, I think, personally speaking, the Super Saiyan God units, obviously Goku is probably the best unit for this attempt of Ultimate Clash. Huge damage reduction, ability to seal Broly, and yeah, just a great way to set up the rest of our team. I'm using a fairly strong tech team, but there are decent replacements. I think firstly, if we're looking at sealing options, you have the free-to-play Master Roshi and TN, which I think is incredibly helpful and will be able to assist you quite a lot. So I would definitely consider using them if you are someone who's not obviously that way inclined. We've got very interesting units like the Super Saiyan God Goku, Super Saiyan God Vegeta. We have the Giant Form Piccolo Power Awakening. There's a ton of great units that you can use here. The main thing that you're going to want to focus on is keeping Broly sealed. No matter what you do, as long as your units have around 100,000 defense or so, and you can keep Broly sealed, you won't take damage during this fight. Like, you won't take significant damage. Healing would be nice to help counteract the chip damage. You could definitely run an extreme variant of the team. The big issue I have with the extreme variant of the team is sealers. So your only real sealer on the extreme variant of the team is the 17 and 18 androids, which are great. They are a very, very awesome unit that does help out a lot. The Gildo, who is a fairly solid unit that is decent, but obviously bear in mind may not be able to handle catching a stray super or something from Broly, which is a bit of an issue. And then of course we also have, well, that's actually kind of it. Like, there's not a lot of sealers on the extreme side, so it does kind of limit you a little bit, at least for me, in terms of overall capabilities to take on the fight. Now, you can run an extreme team. They generally have much better regen, and Broly can have his attack and defense lowered, which is also a very useful mechanic. So you're not entirely stuck with just going super based, but what I would suggest is prioritize units that can seal. If you can seal Broly, you 9 times out of 10 are going to have a very good time against him. You can then bring units that will lower his attack and defense. This will also assist you because by lowering his attack especially, you're going to rapidly reduce the amount of damage that the AoE normal attack is going to do to you. And secondly, I would bring some kind of healing. Now, I don't have healing per se. I use the Super Saiyan Goku for a revive. Well, I don't end up using it, but that's what I brought him for. And I also had the Gogeta on the off chance that we managed to retain our health. Beyond that, you can bring kind of whoever, realistically speaking. I think Oob is a great option. He hasn't received his EZA on global, which is a little bit of a limiting factor for him. But I think for the most part, you should be able to find some decent, some decent units out there. Tech Krillin is a great option. You've got the Tech Vegito, you've got the Tech Ultimate Gohan and Piccolo, you've got the Tech Captain Ginyu, who you can use on the extreme side of things. You've got a fairly strong, fairly decent team. Like, I wouldn't say, there's not a lack of tech options, but you do need to prioritize whichever team allows you to have one or two sealers. As long as you can include 2 sealers on the team, then I think for the most part you'll be more than fine. I just think when you can't have the 2 sealers, especially if you don't have Super Saiyan God Goku, because the thing is with Super Saiyan God Goku is you can have one sealer on the team, because Super Saiyan God Goku can always take a super attack before he seals, and he won't take any damage, because he is, in this situation, incredibly good. The thing is if you don't have that option available to you, you need to make sure that you're constantly keeping Broly sealed, which means having a sealer in either rotation. So you're going to want to make sure that you have that, and you can do that. Beyond that, though, I think everything is more than fine. Broly is quite manageable if you seal him. He's definitely not as menacing, if you just let him run loose. And when you keep him from stacking his attack and defense, he generally doesn't cause too many problems. Heals would be nice, because if you built a team like me that takes 1 or 2 turns to get going, the chip damage can run you a little bit low, but you should be fine, like at the end of the day. Like you'll see here, although I got low, I was never really at risk of dying at any point. So it was just a very calculated kind of process, basically. But we'll finish Broly off with the active skill, and then we'll talk about all the other bosses, because that's really where it gets interesting, I think, at least. So yeah, that's Broly done, and obviously that's stage 3 clear, which I think is more than fine. Pretty standard stuff, really. I think a lot of people will be in favor with Broly being AGL. I think Tech has some decent options. In terms of the other bosses, obviously we start with Chaozu. Now Chaozu will lock you in place and is also immune, can also stun you, but there's nothing else really to him. You'll notice I actually don't fill up my team here, and this is to save on units that I need later on. I don't want to use Jace, I don't want to use Captain Ginyu, I don't want to use some of the better options. Against the Replicate Vegeta, he's immune to stunning and attack lowering, but that's pretty much about it. There's nothing too crazy with him, so you can seal him up and take him down from there. It's a fairly simple process actually, so nothing too crazy. Then with Mecha Frieza is immune to stunning, but you can seal him, and he's immune to attack lowering and defense lowering. You also lower your attack with his super, but this isn't too much of a problem. The Dabura and Babidi is a great free-to-play option for a seal on their 12 key. Make sure you get their 12 key. Tapion is the same. You can seal him, and he's literally exactly the same as Frieza. Here, I didn't actually bother. The extreme team was strong enough to just counter him anyway. Jace came in handy because of his ability to see where the super attacks were coming, which allowed me to plan accordingly. Then we have Goku. Goku, I think, is where things take a step up. Goku is almost mandatory to seal. Like, if you don't seal Goku, he will cause problems. There's a reason why. He will lower your defense by 50% with his super. So bring a sealer, bring 2 if possible. The Babidi and Buu is a great free-to-play option. Then we have Strength Gohan, who's immune to stunning and can evade your attacks, but he is weak to sealing. Again, very similar to the previous Goku. You need to seal him, try and bring a couple more. Bojack as well, you guessed it, is weak to sealing and immune to everything else. He also raises defense as well, but this isn't too much of an issue. If you seal him, you won't have a problem. Chi-Chi's a great help here, and B-Pan is fantastic to keep you topped up with heals. Then we have the Gotenks. Now Gotenks is immune to stunning. You can seal him, yes, you guessed it. He can also evade attacks and fire 2 of them in 1 turn. And they also have a 70% chance to stun. So it's very imperative that you actually seal him, because he can delay you quite badly if you don't do so. And then finally, the last one we have is Buu Super. Here, again, you guessed it, sealing is going to be very powerful. We have great options here, but you can also stun Buu, and it's actually suggested that you do, as this will stop him regenning. You have some great options with Krillin, and with Master Roshi, both of who have stuns, are free to play and are fantastic units. So yeah, that is it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please, of course, leave a like. If you need any help, if you're looking for suggestions, you're more than welcome to leave me a comment, or you can shoot me a message on Twitter. It really doesn't matter. I'll gladly help you out, whichever one. And of course, you watched me take on Broly, but as I mentioned before, lowering his attack and sealing him is going to be super helpful into getting yourself the victory. Beyond that, that is pretty much everything we need to cover. I have completed the Ultimate Clash, and now I can go claim my rewards. As you guys know, it's a pretty decent amount of stones, along with being some Kais as well, and stickers, and just generally good rewards. But that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. So until then, take care, stay safe, and as always, see you guys next time. Bye.